2023 was a great year for us at Thomas Adventures. All three of my daughters and I drew a lot of hunting tags this year. Of course, for us, it's more than just going hunting. This is how we put meat in our freezer. But my youngest daughter drew the best tag of the whole family. She drew a deer license with a drawing odds of only 16%. They only give out 20 of these tags in the whole state. We were excited because we know the area. We have some landowners that have given us great access, and we know there's bucks in this area. We know there's big bucks in this area. And so we practice, we train. She's shooting a lot. All three of my daughters are excellent shots. I think all three of my daughters can outshoot me. Two of them can shoot quarter-minute groups consistently at 100 yards. They're excellent shots. We're ready to go. But unfortunately, things don't always work out the way we planned. We found a buck that exceeded our expectations. When it finally came down to it, she made the shot, she hit the buck, but somehow Frances got away. This is the story of the buck of our dreams. This is the story of the buck that got away. Hey, what's up guys? So last week, we released a video showing footage of a massive mule deer. We didn't get a lot of footage on him, but today we're going to tell you the story about how we missed the buck of a lifetime. So, this story actually starts on June 15th. June 15th, Wyoming releases its draw results so everyone finds out who drew what. Most of us in our family just drew doe tags, which is cool. We like putting meat in the freezer. But Becca drew a type 1 tag, which is an any deer tag, for an area that only 16% of people that apply for it draw it. Hard draw. So she draws it, her first chance. So we're excited. This is a good area. We know there's a lot of bucks in there. We have some really good relationships with some of the ranchers in there because there's a lot of private land and it's really checkered between the private and the public. And so we've got some good access through some of our rancher friends. Speaking of access to rancher friends, work those connections, guys. We take them smoked salmon, we take them brownies, we take them cinnamon rolls. We go a month in advance to meet them, to talk with them, to introduce them to our kids, work those connections to get good access. Back to our story. So she draws this type 1 tag, any deer, and she wants a big mule deer. We passed a lot of decent 4-pointers all year. Finally, we're getting down to the last 2 weeks of the season, and we find this deer in the field of one of the ranchers that's given us access. He's probably got 10 or 15 does with him. And they're just milling around amongst all these cows. And we're trying to figure out how do we get set up on him. We don't want to shoot towards the cows. We don't want to shoot towards the house. They're kind of in the middle of the cows. We're trying to figure out, can we change our angle? They got a haystack, so we're trying to see, can we get on the haystack and shoot from there to change our angle to make it more downward? We're trying to set up a safe shot at a range that Becca's comfortable. Well, it takes us 5 or 10 minutes to figure out where we're going to do that, where we're going to set the camera up, all of that. As we're figuring that out, the deer leave the field. So we follow them. We follow them, letting them cross over a hill, and then we cross it, and we're just piggybacking them, trying to get closer and get a shot set up. We do that for about a mile. About a mile later, we cross over this hill, and it's this transitional area. So you got farmland up on one side, you've got this river bottom on the bottom, and then you've got really steep badland stuff on the other side of the river. So we cross over, we're overlooking this river, and there's Frances. There's the big buck on the other side of the river, side-hilling this really steep badland stuff. So I pull out my rangefinder, Becca gets set up, I set the camera down, and I'm trying to get a range on him. I can't get a range on him. The closest thing I can get is a tree that's in front of him, and I'm getting a range of 300 yards. So I have to guess from there. I'm guessing he's at 350. So I pull up my ballistic app, I get all the data I need, I dial the scope for 350. I don't even worry about the camera. I am so excited about this deer. I'm watching through my binoculars. I'm not even recording, so we don't have footage of this. That's why we're telling you the story. I'm just watching through my binoculars, trying to see if she hits him. Becca's an excellent shot. 350 is nothing for her. I'm watching, and finally, gun goes off, and Francis doesn't move. I don't see any dirt above him, I don't see any dirt around him, I don't see any blood, I don't see any hair flying. I just know she shot and Francis didn't move. So she shoots again. This time I could tell it hit him, but I couldn't tell where. She shoots again, third shot. Boom. Francis is hit a second time, and this time he stumbles. But it was weird because all of his does went straight up this really steep hill. Francis peels off to the right downhill, and he goes into this river bottom, and he's hurting, and you can tell. Awesome, she's got him. We're convinced she's got him. So we pack up, we get our gear all packed up, we get the other kids out of the truck, we catch everyone up. I know I've got to cross the river at this point. So I go back to my truck and I get my waders, and we cross the river looking for Francis. Well, we get over there, and I can't find him anywhere. So I go up to where he's standing, where he was shot, and I start tracking his blood. And we're finding a lot of blood. And we're finding good blood. It's bright red, it's arterial blood. It looks good, we're finding a lot of it. I have no doubt in my mind at this point, we're gonna find him piled up somewhere down in the river bottom. And I track his blood probably 200 yards. And as I'm tracking his blood, one of the kids that we left on the other side of the river that I didn't carry over the river, one of them starts yelling, "He's over here, he's over here." So we're like, what in the world? I don't know if they find him dead. I don't know if he's still alive. Well, what I didn't know that they found out is that we actually jumped him from his bed. He bedded down. We jumped him out of his bed, never heard him, never saw him, but we jumped him. And he crosses the river. So we put our waders back on. We cross the river to where he's at again, a second time. And I start tracking for blood again, and I can't find a drop of blood. We looked for about 3 hours. There were 7 of us that looked for 3 hours that morning. Never found blood after he crossed the river. We knew exactly where he came out. We could see the water and the dirt. We knew where he came out. We didn't know his direction of travel, but we did know where he came out, and we couldn't find a drop of blood. So some of my buddies that were with me, they had to leave town. They had to go back home. So I took them home. I called a couple other buddies. One of my buddies has a hound. I was like, hey, bring your hound. Let's see if we can find this deer. We go back, and 7 of us again that night spent another 3 hours looking for him. And we looked and we looked, and the amount of blood we have, the fact that we jumped him out of his bed, the fact that he went downhill away from his does, all of that led me to believe we're gonna find him. He's dead somewhere. Maybe you hit him a little far back, but we're gonna find him. But we looked till dark that night and we don't find Francis. So I go back the next day, and I look, and I look, And at this point, I mean, it's warm. I'm not planning on finding any good meat, but I'm still looking. And we never found him. We never found crows circling. We never found any sign of Francis after that. We learned some hard lessons this year. One of the lessons Becca learned is you keep shooting until it goes down. You might not do that on a meat doe at 200 yards, but on a trophy buck of a lifetime, you shoot until it's dead. That's one of the lessons we learned. But we wanted to share that story with you guys because these things happen when you're hunting. You practice, you train, you shoot, you hone your skills, you try to do your best. But sometimes things just don't go the way we plan. Thanks for watching another episode of Thomas Adventures. If you enjoy this content, if you enjoy any of our content, click that little subscribe button and stay tuned for more great adventures.